Yo, what's going on? This is Sure Enough with Sure Enough Gaming and TV. We're back with another one. It's Friday, so y'all know what it is. Story time with Sure Enough, where I'm going to tell y'all some of the craziest stories of my life. I'm going to jump straight into the video. First, I need y'all to go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if y'all haven't already done that. And at the end of the video, comment and tell me what you think about this story. As you can tell by the title, though, this is how Viva La Bam and Jackass pretty much sculpted my childhood, you know? And I saw the first Jackass movie in 2004 when I was 10 years old. And that pretty much changed everything for me, okay? So it was pretty much rock and roll, metal, skateboarding from there on out. And I was still huge into dirt bikes and four-wheelers, so that was never gonna change, which just, it fit into the lifestyle anyway, of just being fucking crazy. And so I went out and I spent pretty much all of the money that I had saved up from cutting like the neighbors' yards and stuff, and bought this guitar, a BC Rich Warlock, okay? And me and my buddy were like, we were gonna start this metal band because metal was like all we wanted to do, right? And so neither one of us knew how to play guitar, but I went out and spent all my money on this guitar. And when I got back to the house, you know, we realized we didn't even have an amp or anything, right? So like we had this electric guitar, but we couldn't even fucking play it. Well, I mean, we could, but that's not what we were wanting, because we were like, we're gonna be metal, you know? And so I had this change jar that I had been saving pretty much my whole life. And like I said, I was only like 10 at the time, so it wasn't like it was a whole bunch of money. But we took it to the bank and we changed it all in, got cash for it, and it ended up being like $90. And so we went to the only guitar shop that was even close. It was like 5 or 6 miles from the bank, which was already like 15 miles from our house. And so we get to this little guitar shop. I mean, really tiny, like smaller than any place you've ever been to. And we get this amp. It was like, we had like $90, and this amp was so small and tiny, and we got it for like pretty much everything we had. I think we had like $2 and some change left over at the end of it. We get back to my house, you know, we plug everything up and we're fucking jamming this guitar, and like I said, neither one of us could play. And so throughout that summer, you know, I'd saved up all my money. I was gonna buy a drum kit, and so that's what I did. I saved up all my money. I went out and I bought this cheap drum kit. And so the first night I got my drum kit, the neighbors called the cops on us because we were being loud. And so, you know, the cops came, and when the cops got there, they were like, well, technically it's not even the noise ordinance when they were there, yet alone when they had got the call. And so they were like, really, there's nothing that we can do, but your neighbors would appreciate it, you know, if y'all would be quiet. Well, that wasn't going to work, so we decided, taking one kind of like from Steve-O, we decided, you know, screw them neighbors, like we're metal, and like my grandmother had let us like spray paint the basement up, so we had all this like graffiti in the basement, and that's where we would practice. And like we were actually, you know, kind of getting good at a point. And so my buddy, he had gotten a hold of these like home entertainment speakers, and so like he pretty much rigged them up, you know, he redneck rigged them up. And we turned our small amp into a small amp and like these home speakers that were serving a purpose as an amp. They sounded terrible, but at the time we didn't care because they were fucking loud. And that's all that mattered, is that even if our music wasn't great, man, it was fucking loud, and it was fucking kick-ass rock and roll, you know, like that's all we cared about at the time. And then in 2006, Jackass #2 came out. And I was already going through a hard time in 2006. I had a bunch of problems that year, and Jackass 2 came out. And when me and my friend, like, we begged my grandmother to drive us 2 hours to Salisbury, Maryland, to this theater who was playing it before, like 2 months before the theater that was local would have been able to get it, because they always were way late. And so we begged her, and she finally, you know, she said, the hell with it. And she drove us all the way out there to watch this movie. And I was only 12 at the time, okay? So she gets us into this movie, and like, we watched this movie, and I decided that day, like, that's what I wanted to dedicate my life to. Which, I mean, I changed my mind, but that's what I wanted to dedicate my life to, was being like Jackass. Bam Margera and Steve-O, they were the fucking man, alright? Johnny Knoxville and all them, they were the fucking man, alright? And so we were like, we're gonna do this. And so over that summer, I'd saved up a little bit of money, because we had been doing, you know, mostly playing metal and skateboarding, so I didn't really do a whole bunch of like cutting grass that summer. And so I took the money that I did have, and we bought this small camcorder, handheld like camcorder, man. And it was one that you put the like little DVDs in, and we were like, this is it, like, we're gonna record everything we do. And so our life became planning out these stunts. And so we would get the video camera out, and we'd just, you know, prop it up on the ground and put some like a pine cone or something under it to like angle it, and we would get up on the roof, and we would have competition and see who could hurt themselves the worst by jumping off this roof. And you know, mostly just ankles. But that's how it all started. That was our first skit. Was we were gonna play a game to see who could hurt themselves the worst jumping off this roof. And it was a high roof too. It wasn't like a small roof. Like, we really did hurt ourselves. And then we were like, our second skit was we were gonna, you know, go up to the corner store. And my buddy was just like, I was like 12 at the time, and so we thought this was the best idea ever. And he was like, we're gonna get in the corner store, and I'm just, you know, I'm gonna fucking pull my ass out, pretty much, just like pull my pants down and hang my ass out, and, you know, go up to the cashier and like pay for all my stuff with my ass out, and like just keep turning around. And so I had this camera, you know, trying to hide it, but obviously not hiding it. Clear as day, we're recording, you know. And so this old black lady that worked there, thought it was hilarious. Honestly, she knew what was going on the whole time, and she was just laughing about it. And we thought it was, you know, the funniest thing in the world. And that was what we did for our second skit. And then we started, you know, putting a little more thought into them. How can we get more creative with it? Like, how can we ramp it up? And so we started doing, you know, just crazy stuff. And it turned into a lifestyle. And even when the camera wasn't rolling, we were doing crazy stuff. Like, we would go into the church, because this church in town didn't even lock their doors, like, ever. And so we would just go into the church, and they had wheelchairs for people to use. And we would take the wheelchairs, you know, and we'd get going as fast as we could on their like walkway, and launch off the fucking stairs. And, you know, it just would send us flying face first pretty much every time. And we'd do wheelies and try and like wheelie backwards down the stairs, you know, fall back and hit our heads and stuff. Just always doing crazy stuff. And then we started building our own skate like props, like rails and ramps, okay? And we had taken these metal sawhorses that we had found and put them together on this like platform kind of, and we were going to use it as a rail. And so we had got this, you know, like sex wax, and waxed the hell out of this stuff. Like, I mean, waxed the hell out of it. And my buddy was like, you want to try it first? And I was like, yeah. And so this is my first board slide ever that I ever attempted. I fucking, you know, I'm running with the board. I drop it. I hop on, coming in hard, fucking ollie. I get perfect, like, momentum. I land perfectly, you know, half and half, perfectly centered, as perfect as I could be. And we had waxed it so much that the board just went woo right underneath of me, you know, and I just came back and I landed with my back like on the middle of the rail that we had made, and my arms and shoulders just like went wrapped around it, and I was just like ugh, and like landed on that shit. And it was rough, dude. It was really rough. And we started, you know, we just started going harder and harder every time. We were going harder and harder with everything. And one day my friend's brother had come over, and we had come up with this skit where we had one of these like foldable ladders where it like splits at the top and holds itself, and it was like 6.5, 7 foot tall. And so, you know, we stand this ladder out in the middle of the yard. We tell him he's gonna stand on the top of it. He's gonna climb to the very top and stand straight up off the top of it like a tower. So he does that. We set up the camera, and you know, I hit record. I go out of the frame. He does the little introduction. You know, he says his name, who he is, and like what's about to happen. And then I come running from out of the frame into the frame and like football tackle this ladder out from underneath of him. And you know, he shit, and I just kept running with the ladder. Like I picked the ladder up pretty much with this football tackle and just ran with it, you know. And I ran all the way into the side of the garage that we had there, and like face first into that shit. Fucked my shoulder all up. We all got up. We were all screaming and celebrating, you know. And then I was like, I ran over to the camera because I was like, we gotta watch the footage. And I had left the damn lens cap on. And so all you hear is, it's just a black video, and all you hear is, ugh, fuck. And then just, yeah. And then you can hear us run over to the camera, and then the video ended. There's just black screen. And so we were like, all right, we got to make up for this. And so we had built this quarter pipe. Really, that's really what it was. It was a quarter pipe, and it was, the top of it was like level with the roof of my house. So it was like a good, you know, 15 feet off the ground, 10 to 15 feet, you know, high. And so it was a gnarly drop in, man. And me and my friend, man, we had been crushing this drop in all day. We'd come down flying off the sidewalk, and we had put out a bunch of pieces of old like Luan and like plywood that we had found, and like got gathered together and stuff, and flying down this old like little runway we had made off, because I mean, you were hauling when you came down this drop in. And we had been killing it all day, and I was like, finally it was like getting dark, which we had been waiting for it to get kind of dark, and we were going to turn this like floodlight on we had, and we thought that it was going to be a really cool shot. And so we had, I like angled up this camera and everything, you know, go to hit the drop in, and one of my grandmother's dogs came running out. And so at the time, you know, I thought the best idea for me was to just, you know, bail to try to avoid like hitting her dog, because it was a small dog, and I was worried that if I hit it, like split second decision, I was worried if I hit it, that, you know, I'd probably kill it. And so I just bailed, and you know, when I bailed, I bailed wrong, and I came pretty much from the top, so 10 to 15 feet straight down concrete, and smashed my elbow to pieces, man. And so I want to shout out, you know, to you know, Steve-O and Bam Margera and Johnny Knoxville and Wee Man and all y'all, the legends. Thanks for you know, getting me hurt on that one. And it doesn't stop there. So I actually, you know, I went through surgery, got a whole bunch of metal put in my arm for the second time. It's the second time that elbow had been fractured, and so I go through the surgery. I was just focusing on metal and stuff at the time because I couldn't really skate or like ride 4-wheelers or dirt bikes. And as soon as I was good, I got this brand new 4-wheeler. My grandmother had bought me this brand new 4-wheeler, YFZ 450. And if y'all know 4-wheelers, that was a beast back in like 2007 or 8 when I got it, right? And so my grandmother was going away out of town on like a vacation to see her daughter and my aunt and stuff, and so she went on this like trip, and her one rule was like, don't ride the dirt bikes or the 4-wheelers because like I don't want you to get hurt while I'm gone. Well, the first thing we did is she left that morning, and the first thing we did was my buddy came over and we went out on my 4-wheeler, and like I got the bright idea that if there was this ditch that they had made, and I got the bright idea that if I just pen this 4-wheeler out, this YFZ 450, if I just pen it out, because we had topped it at like 80 mile an hour on the radar before, and so I was like, I know that if I hit 80, 85 mile an hour down the side of these railroad tracks, and I just tilt the nose up right as we get to the ditch, we should be able to just clear this ditch, even though it was like 7 foot like wide. There's no way we were gonna do it, obviously, but I said screw it, and I just I penned it, and we didn't even get to 85. We probably got to about 65, maybe 70, and I put the nose up, and all that happened was the back tires hit the other side of the ditch, and it flipped us. And when it flipped us, I fractured my wrist in 3 places, and my buddy landed on top of me, and the 4-wheeler came flipping down on top of that, and it actually landed on my arm, and so like my arm was all bruised up too. And I didn't know that my wrist was fractured in 3 places. I knew that it hurt, but we rode probably about 45 minutes away to this track and rode at the track for like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes or so, and then we rode back to my house. And yeah, ended up, like I said, now I've done fractured my wrist in 3 places. And so the moral of the story is there's a lot more that happened, but we're gonna cut it here because this video is getting long. Maybe we'll make a part 2 on this another week down the road. But the moral of the story is that when you start trying to make these skits and like do crazier and crazier things, they come with harder and harder injuries. And so yeah, I've broken and fractured and sprained and dislocated more shit than I think anybody ever should. And yeah, I just want to say once again thank you to Viva La Bam and the cast of Jackass. Also, I want to shout out to the TV show Wild Boys. Y'all really sculpted my childhood, and y'all are responsible for half of my injuries. And we'll get to a lot more of my injuries, like I said, maybe in another part 2. But that's it for this week, and I'm going to catch y'all next week right here on Storytime with Sure Enough. Fridays. Y'all know what to do. Comment right now. If y'all stuck around this far, give yourself a thumbs up too. I'm going to catch y'all next week. We're out.